Okay, troops. First thing we need to do, as you noticed in the pre-lab, or at least not the first thing, I guess the first thing in terms of creating our spreadsheet is we need to get this data into the spreadsheet. And so, you might think that we could just be able to copy this and there's the finished product, but we want to show it to you from start to finish. So it won't allow us to simply, let's see, I always like to start here. I don't know, page special, even if we pick that. What it does is see how it puts everything in one cell, and I still don't know how to do that differently. And I also realized that there's you can get data from a outside file, but the problem with that is when you do that, it brings it in its own kind of table format, which I don't understand, and it's a real pain in the rear end. So I come up with a kludge for the time being. So we have that data copied. We got ourselves a new Word document. In fact, you could use, it probably is better actually to use Notepad, but we can work around that too. So notice now we base, let's see, keep, merge formatting. Suppose it doesn't matter. Now, here's you notice, you'll see why I didn't take these other ones, because it just becomes a pain in the butt. Now, what happens is, and why don't we make this Control A, select it all. We'll make it big so we can see it. Now, what you do is here is you hit this paragraph symbol, and now it shows you where that character is a space bar. Now, what you can bring into Excel, now we couldn't just leave it the way it is, but I'm going to do it the way I'm used to. And there's two ways of doing it. It's creating a comma delimited. So delimited just means that you have some character space, and then you start with new characters, and the space is the delimiter. Could be commas, could be tabs. And I've noticed that the latest version of Excel doesn't handle commas either very well. It's a standard file format too, called a CSV file, comma delimited. Let me show you what I did here. I used this replace, and I just see right now there's something in each one. And when you open this, it's going to look like that. So I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm just going to hit the space bar once. Can't see anything there. And we want to replace all the spaces with tabs. So I hit this more button. And then look here, there's a tab character. Oops, not there though. So hit backspace, hit now space bar here. Here's where we want the tab character. And this works also because when I copy pasted the data, it ended up with the way this was made. There, if it doesn't do that, we might have other problems. But we hit replace all, and so and then we close this, and so we see now there's a tab character between all the data points, or at least the table items, which is cool. We'd have been unlucky if somehow when I copy pasted, but the way this is set up, it's a pretty sure bet that when I copy paste these guys, they're going to have the most important thing is that for each line there's the equivalent character in between, and in that case this case it was a space, so now I changed it to tab carriers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save as, and I am going to choose to make this a text file, plain text, and you see I've already done it once. So I'm just going to call this Toro 01. And I'm just going to, it looks all right. I'm going to say Windows default. It worked, so it should work anytime you do this. Now I have to remember, how did I open it? I think what I simply did was open with Excel. No, I don't remember that. That doesn't seem familiar. So let's take this guy here. Oh, right. Instead of saying import, I just said open. And I'll just browse. And then also it'll first just go like this, right? Excel files. It seems to remember what I was doing. And I'm going to tell it text files. And then I'm going to pick my data file that I just made in text format. And, oh, I had to close it. Okay. And cancel. And let's try again. File. Open. Browse. It should come up. There it is. Here's a dialog box. This is what it used to do whenever I used to import data in the past, but it doesn't do this anymore. I don't know why. So fixed width, yeah, I mean, that's another way you could have done it, but then if all your data had the same number of characters, but in our case, you see we have a 1, 2, 3 in one column, and then we have decimals, but we'd have to define each one like we see if one was 126.50, everything would have to be that many characters wide. So delimited is easier, commas or tabs, and then we go next. And we pick a tab. You can pick semicolons, depends on how you set it up. And yeah, sometimes it's useful if you ended up having two in a row, but sometimes you want that because 2 in a row means it's just something blank in between the two tabs. And it's basically okay to do finish here. And so what I like to do is, let me take a look at the one I have ready. Yeah, see, I put it into D5. Yeah, let's just do it that way. So I want to is that it? Maybe it's here. Yeah, I always like to do something like this. And so cut. And, you can always insert, but I just like to put it in. And what do I want to do? I want to paste, so they jump over. So right off the bat, I'm going to format these, and I'm going to say that every column is a number. I guess I like numbers on the right, so it's a number. And then in this case, the drawback is we have to manually enter the headers. And where did the manual go? There we go. All right, so this is just position. It's just an index. And then longitude. And it's in degrees. I don't know why they have a theta below it. And I could just, if I wanted to, I'll just keep this for the moment. We'd put the units always in parentheses. And then we have radius from the sun. I suppose we could put distance. Radius. From, or 2 sun. from sun. And that's in AUs, astronomical units, which is just the distance from the Earth, the average distance from the Earth to the sun. And let's see, so what we can do is, we can make this bigger. We've done this before. And want to center that up and down, center it left to right. And then we want to do word wrap, see what that does for us. And I see that I need a space here. Yep. And then I can just sort of, there we go, until it looks pretty. Nice, huh? So let's see what we need. So in the manual, it says to us that we want to start out with an angle of 52.5 from the horizontal. And I'll explain that in a minute. So in principle, this is only 3 degrees from the horizontal if we use the basic definition of 0 as the positive x-axis, and then we go counterclockwise. Hopefully that should sound familiar to you. And so they want us to add 52 degrees to that at 52.5 or 52. No, I'm thinking 52.3. 52.5. Good. Now, and also, Excel uses radians, so we're going to do 2 things in one step. So first of all, though, we're going to insert a new column, and we're going to say, I don't know what I call this. We're going to just call it position, I suppose, and it's going to be in radians. Yep. And we're going to say that it's equal to, and now we need to turn it into if we use the command radians, it assumes that's whatever's inside is in degrees. So we want to take the degrees of the data, and when you want to add 52.5, and we don't need any dollar signs because, whoops, we're just straight on adding that number instead of having it be typed into a box somewhere, because we're not going to change it. And we just had to remember to close the parentheses. Okay. So then we have our angle in radians. And now we have a radius vector. But Excel can't plot in what called polar coordinates. So I can't just plot an angle and a radius because Excel can't make graphs like that. So we need x and y coordinates. So we want to say this is x of the x data, and this is going to be in AUs, and tab, this is going to be y data, and it's also going to be in AUs. And then how do we get it? Well, we know if I have an angle and a hypotenuse, then the x-axis is just equal to the cosine, right? Equals cosine, and we open parentheses. Oh, let's make it look. It's the hypotenuse times the cosine. So that's going to be this radius times the cosine of the angle. And then the y data is just going to equal, once again, to the same hypotenuse times the sine of the angle. Same angle. And then we're going to fill it in. Nice, huh? Okay, why don't we try, and let's insert a graph, and let's see what it looks like. So in this case, we're going to do similar to what the lab says, where it says to draw in smooth lines. So we're going to pick that out. And we're basically done with this part. And one thing we want to do is we just want to make sure the boxes look square so we get a true idea, because notice 2.5 and 1.5. Now we could change this to plus or minus 2.5, but it doesn't work very well. Now, well, it does, but it's just you get a lot of empty space, and this works fine. So notice why they added it, because ahead of time, they've oriented this ellipse so that the fattest part is along the x-axis. That's all. And what else? Let's see. One other thing we could do for the time being is let's without proof, we're going to change the minor lines to 005, and you'll see in a minute here. And you don't see any change just yet. 005. Okay. And we get rid of that, and then we have the table, the graph or the chart, and we want to add an element. So we have grid lines. We want to say the minor ones, and what is the other one? Grid lines, minor vertical. Now, maybe I might have gotten something wrong here. So yeah, let's see. Let's set this to 0. Wonder why. Let me pause for a minute. Alright, so I got it now. Oops, I didn't select the axis. So it's 0.5, 0.05 for this one. And then the other thing is I want to do the horizontal, vertical, the axis, 0.5, 0.05. There we go. Now the idea is, you notice it looks like graph paper now. And so this now, if we wanted to, we could print this, so we could do the lab just the way it said. And you see how this point ends up where two grid lines cross, and this crossing point also. It just makes things cool. But because I'm not absolutely certain we can do every single test they want us to do, but we'll get that's for another lab just at the minute. So what we're at right now is we've made it to a point where if we had to, we could print this graph out, and we could use it to do the rest of what's described in the lab by hand, but we're going to do it all using the spreadsheet. So to get this far is at least what you need to do for the pre-lab, and then I'll keep publishing more videos as time goes by for the rest of the analysis. See you soon.